Uh, I would just go back years when we used to, pass out from college. Uh, some years back, it used to be only that we've learned something, and we're ready to take on whatever will come up. So it used to be rather simplified. I would say that we don't know. We just have been given some knowledge. Coming is how do I get there? And while I look at something really fancy on the other side, and I've just been given this basic knowledge, I don't know how I will get there. And I think that brings about the first major shortcoming, which is confusion. And this it brings about also a lot of insecurity, and breaks down the confidence of the person that um, I don't know what I need, but I want that, and I
Yes,
don't know how to get there. so
yes,
so I think we are in a scenario where how to get there is a shortcoming. So it's not the fault of the students alone. I think it is the society norms that have built up at a level where they force people to think that this is where we desire you to be. I think we cannot say that it is only knowledge that matters or it is only the attitude that matters. See, if you have the right attitude, but you don't have the knowledge, very rarely will it happen that somebody will tell you, okay, you have a great attitude, I will consider you. You don't know it, so today I have that much of time to invest in you.
yes.
Very rarely, 1% does that happen. Doesn't happen that somebody is going to sit with you, spend so much time, teach you that. On the vice versa, if you have somebody who bombards you with enough knowledge, but you don't have an attitude, you're not flexible, if you're not you're into this mode that I've my parents have spent enough money, I've learned whatever I wanted to, and I'm done with learning, I don't have to learn anything in future, then you're extremely wrong about it. I think if you're looking at good paid jobs, be it in engineering or in computers, software development, learning is something that is for granted to be taken along, that it's like exercising. If you want to stay healthy, you need to they should have their knowledge correct, the basics that they need to know, that should be in place. One, which is like for granted to be taken, that itna to inko aana hi chahiye, this is something they need to know. Beyond that, of course, a great attitude. Now the attitude part of it would include great communication skills, being
Yes.
confident, adaptable, wanting to learn more, having this continuous urge that times are changing. We are in a VUCA world. We need to continuously keep upgrading ourselves, and we can't be that I learned some XYZ certification in this year, and that's going to last long till the end of my career. No, that doesn't happen anyways now. So you have to be that every day you need to go back to basics, learn, unlearn, relearn. Now, these are some qualities that if I'm a technical person and I can do great coding, it's okay if I don't have good communication. Somewhere it becomes a blockage for you, because when you have to interact with customers, say in the US or otherwise, and your skills are great, but your communication isn't, then it becomes a blockage somewhere. So I think it's an overall rounded personality that one needs to develop, and these are few things that I can think of, that learning communication skills, being accountable and dependable, and the being flexible, being adaptable, and also being resilient. In The pandemic has
A
taught
time
us
like
that
this, yes.
yeah, that you got to be resilient. You can't keep crying over things, and you can't keep saying that I couldn't do this because of XYZ, and you need to push on and say it's okay, and I need to go ahead with things. So I think these are few things that a desirable candidate would be some. uh, uh, many people are not, or many students that I have mentored have not been able to quickly change. So if I've spent 5 years in my campus, the change cannot happen overnight in corporate. So it is not the change of just the location that my parents used to pay my fees, and today corporate pays me. And that is not the only change that happens. There's a full mindset evolution that needs to happen, whether it is on taking responsibility of the work that you do. Many a times, people are not even able to adjust with newer team members, because in campus we always chose our own friends, and if I don't like an ex person, I either stay away, or those are the people I would uh, look at when I want to, when my anger triggers out and I want to take some revenge or something. But that doesn't happen in the corporate world. In corporate world, it is that you've got to be a contributor. You got to be somebody you like, you don't like. You got to work with them. And the mission is not only an assignment which can be copied from somebody who's doing it, but it's your own, your skills, your knowledge, which gives an output and can be a little piece in that big picture of things which the organization has framed. So you move from an individual to a team player, and I think these are the few things that people need to make a note of, that it's a mindset which needs to kind of literally transform. And I need not go to college on a particular day, and if I want to bunk a class, I can. But can that work when I do a client call? I don't feel like talking to my customer today. Let me just not do that. It will have repercussions. An entire order can go away because of that.
Yeah.
So, accountability, or
Sense of
I may
ownership. Yeah.
not get ownership, accountability. I may not get along with the person I sit to next to me, but work is different and personal likings are different. So drawing those boundaries, I think these play very vital role in a work environment, and that's a transition which takes a little time for the campus hires to kind of evolve. And many times we've also seen that they don't understand this in theory, while there's a rigorous training which I think most organizations would give when they do their training, but it's also overwhelming for the students to take it as soon as they come in. And as they are facing it, they realize that, oh, I can't shout at somebody because I don't like them, or I can't run away today because my head is aching and I need to be there. So that's where that evolution starts happening. And I think the bookish knowledge and what happens in the real world are two different things. While it is important that we learn the basics of it, uh, one would be able to say, once people become a little in middle management or in senior management, that it was not the knowledge that helped us, but it was the practical experiences that we had that helped out. There's too many external forces um, which are actually controlling the entire way of working today. So I think the universities need to get more of industry experts. Organizations have different experiences of internship. Uh, some organizations would have some extra work which they would want to keep aside, which could be very mundane, very routine, or something which their own team finds very boring to do, or something which is they
Like a
don't have
manual
time
labor.
to
Yeah.
do. Yeah, so those are the kinds of projects which are actually removed and kept aside for internship kind of work. Um, it's also often seen that because of the busy work schedules of the people who kind of offer these internships, a student is more or less left to themselves, that this is a research work and you need to find your findings and tell us how we can use this. Many a times it is a little critical for the student to understand that difference of coming from the college world and trying to give some kind of an output to the real world. I think if it is very purely research based, where something just needs to be analyzed and findings need to be given, then that's fine. But most projects don't come out to be like that, and often it is just work in progress kind of a thing, which doesn't benefit either. While a student may just get a signature and say that I have done this, but not really an outcome for the organization too, because there is this lack of understanding of being in the shoes primarily. So I feel that with lack of support from the working workforce that is carving out these internships, there is a gap. I personally feel that.
Yes, there is.
I think it's a great bridge between learning your theory and being afraid of the real world, because the real world is completely different. So a mentor comes in as somebody who is not there to spoon feed you, because that's not the initiative. That's not the role what a mentor plays. But the mentor's role is to actually, guide you and show you a path where you do your own research, and you present that. A mentor is somebody who would probably bring about that curiosity to you and guide you in the direction where you could channelize your own thinking process and find answers for yourself, as well as they could probably talk about their experiences, their scenarios, which could uh, give you some direction of what is coming ahead for you. So I think from that perspective, that's the difference between a teacher and a mentor, because the world of internet has got so much of abundance of information that they kind of evoke you or channelize your thinking process in a particular direction, and you can go back to them with obviously some of the work that you have researched on, but may go back to them with a lot of questions, and
Yes.
that is something that this process is all about. So building on your curiosity, getting answers to questions, even the fact of getting those questions in your mind of what can be and what cannot be is something has evolved over the years. Earlier, somebody would look at as an HR for mere recruiting or payroll processing kind of roles. Somebody with a pleasing personality was always welcome, but I think HR has moved from being just that to diverse roles that one can pick up as per their own skills and likings in HR. So, somebody can be an HR specialist, for example, or somebody could take up HR analytics, which is like a new thing that has come in.
Oh, wow.
Somebody could just be playing the role of performance management, if you like, graphs and statistics, and you like to interact and resolve problems. Then there is post appraisal kind of data that is dealt with. So you could also take up trainings and be a part of the L&D team if you wish to. Or you can be something that I actually take care of. So at Harbinger, I actually am the head of people engagement initiatives and talent development and culture branding. So if you're somebody who likes to move around with people and interactions and branding them and talking about values and culture, So there is exciting opportunities around with that as well. So HR has also evolved over these years, and I think people can strategically think and pick up roles of that kind. Or if you have a expertise in wanting to interact with people or build culture, then there is room for you as well. So with such a vast spectrum which has come about in HR itself, I think skills have also evolved over a period of time. So some skills that come to mind definitely is good communication skills to start with. I think that's a common thing in all of them. So
Yes.
being able to communicate, break barriers of not withholding information just to yourself. Being able to communicate effectively, that's one very vital skill that any HR would need to have. The ability to problem solve is
Absolutely.
another thing that every HR is expected to get through. If you have an inclination towards people analytics and getting into analyzing data, that is something which is new and coming up. So that is something you can look at. Listening is a very basic skill in HR that any HR would need to probably have the openness to listen to them, to be able to give that amount of time and patience to them is to employees is very important. And beyond this, I think the ability to get back to them with something that you can engage them into, or be able to connect and be the mediator between the management and the employees, and that ability to do that with softer skills in behavior. I think those are things which come top to mind, and of course a little bit of strategical thinking. If you are an aggressive person, then I think recruitment works very well with you, because the aggression, the meeting of numbers is something which you can work well if you take up recruitment. So these are different roles which have uh, now come up and broken HR down. We used to read these as 12 chapters actually in our times, where recruitment, selection, and then going on to performance management, L&D used to be one of the things we had to know. But I think these have all now emerged as specializations, and the future generations are lucky to basic thing which didn't college never taught me, but a mentor taught me, was do a SWOT analysis. It's a very basic thing that no college taught me this, and that told me that I may have a particular skill set, though I may want to be XYZ. Where am I today? That very basic understanding needs to come in students, that what am I good at, what am I bad at, and then be able to make career choices is very vital. And I think being able to one analyze that data, then as I said earlier also, that the real world is completely different from the books that we study. So
Yes.
it is important that simple things like students are very reluctant to go on LinkedIn, and they feel that LinkedIn is only a place where I can put achievements and I can put how much of tenure have I spent in an organization. Now that's not true. You can be on LinkedIn as a fresher, and you can be participating. You could be liking. You could be writing your own blogs and articles and sharing your thoughts, and that makes you so much of gives you so much of an exposure, and you can join so many circles and networks, and there's immense learning over there as well. uh, Beyond that, being connected with some industry experts also helps, because the real working
Yes.
scenario is completely different. And if colleges are giving you that exposure, great. If not, I think LinkedIn is one place where you could build that connect. Or if you have some other organizations who could help you get connected with industry experts, being able to hear the real stories, the real experiences, is going to actually give you the real picture and make you better prepared to understand that where am I and what all skills do I really need to add on to myself to be this 2 years down the line. I'll not even say 5 years down the line, because 5 years is a long time and things are changing very fast. I think what people would have predicted after the before the pandemic, and how pandemic itself has changed the way of working for all of us. So I would say 2 years down the line also, if you want to understand where is the technology and the scenarios heading, it's very important that you hear it from the horse's mouth and the industry expert.